and we are thrilled that she's helping us out, even though she's on vacation. And Travis is our tech expert here, so thank you, Travis. And Shannon, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Can you hear me okay?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Yes.
What's Travis, say the name of your company. Thank you so much for helping us.
No issues. It's Effects Agency. We're a web marketing company.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you.
No issues.
I like your background better.
Right?
Well, it's way nicer than ours.
Hey, but your view is beautiful.
But we have a very nice chamber banner, so that's very nice. So Shannon, before we get started, I just want to let our listeners know a little bit about some of the events that the Palm Bay Chamber has coming up, because we've just been crazy people adding on a whole bunch of new items and new committees, new meetings. We're trying to really help business owners with their business. We want to make sure that they're getting meeting the right partners and growing their business. So our luncheon coming up has Carol Craig, and I think probably everybody in Brevard County knows Carol Craig with Craig Technologies. So she's going to be talking about her entrepreneurial experience, and that's at the Life Care Center this Wednesday, August the 3rd. And then we have our grand reopening of the chamber. We did a complete inside and outside rehaul and overhaul, and so it looks lovely. So we're going to have a big barbecue event here from 3:30 to 5 on the 9th of August, so make sure you get that on your calendars. And we just added this business after hours with our mingle. We did a tabletop expo, so we found that a lot of people sometimes with mingles, they enjoy them, but they also like to promote their business a little bit more. So we have tabletops available. It's going to be at the Crown Plaza.
Okay.
So you can hang out on the deck or come in. We'll have food and appetizers, and tables are only $50 for a member. So
$50?
I know, right?
That's
good deal. I know. It's a good deal. And then
Sign me up.
Sign me up. Okay. Well, yes, you have your great expo coming up, so it's always a nice opportunity to be able to talk more about things. Sometimes at the mingles, it's kind of hard to let everybody know what you've got going on. And then
tabling events are always really good for any chamber, because it gets someone to come to you and talk to you, and you kind of get your own time and spot. Most of the time you're in front of people for a lead group and talking, but this actually gives you the opportunity to engage for a little bit, which is always good.
Well, and that's nice. Yeah, and sometimes you have people that are uncomfortable in a mingle situation, so we don't want them to feel that way. Sometimes when you have a table and you can go up and talk to somebody, then it's definitely easier to mingle. And our final thing I want to talk about, our calendars are full. Just crazy. But our last thing that I really want to promote is our media auction. And that's September 21st. We have probably tens of thousands of dollars worth of media that you will get at pennies on the dollar. So if you are looking at your fall advertising program, we have things on the radio like 98.5 The Beach. We have Cumulus Media, so billboards. We have ads within Hometown News, Florida Today, Senior Living, Boomer's Guide. There is a lot. So get that on your calendar, because really, if you're a small business and you're looking to inexpensively advertise, it's a fabulous event. So that's September 21st.
Yeah, I've donated that to the past, and it's been a benefit to the people who bought my stuff. I've done social media auctions, and I know a lot of people go every year to buy video.
Right. Yeah, the video is great. Yes, and I know you were helpful before with doing websites.
Yeah.
And that, but
yeah, sure.
So please check that out. And Shannon, we will turn it over to you. We've chit-chatted long enough with all our chamber. Well, it is chamber chat, but
yes, it is. Yes. So I just wanted to remind people that we do have John Netterhood on. In the chat room, there is a live link, so you can join us via video, so you can interact, engage. We would love to hear from you. If you're a little shy, you just want to put in your business into the chat room, that would be wonderful. And we'll, if you're a member of the chamber, the idea of the chamber chat is that we will promote your business. If you're joining us on Facebook, you can do the same thing. Put in, again, your pitch or who you are and your website, because Nancy has really aid, and we want to make sure that you get noticed. Am I cutting in and out? Is everything okay?
You are a little bit.
A little
Shannon.
bit at the end, but it was. I think we got the gist of what you're saying.
Okay, great. So today, today we're talking about a topic that Nancy, you just wrote an article in the paper, which kind of inspired this topic, which was the negotiations. Can you share just a little bit about your article?
Absolutely. Right. I wrote guidelines for negotiation, what you need to know. So that was in the Florida Today on behalf of WeVenture. And the first thing was to do research. A lot of us go into negotiations and have not thought anything about what our objective is. And if you tend to not always plan ahead, sometimes like I do, then you may not always come out with the best results. So it's always important to plan. I think one of the things I compared it to was eBay. You know, if you go into eBay and start bidding on things and don't have your set amount in mind, you end up paying a lot more than you ever thought you should. So, you know, you get caught up in the art of the deal, and, you know, you get carried away when you're in negotiations. So it's always best to do your homework, determine what your goal is, what your outcomes are going to be. And you have to realize that it's, they said compromise isn't the best word, but you really have to understand it's a two-way street. It's not all about you. You have to know what the other person is looking to accomplish as well, and then come to a happy medium. And sometimes some person may get a little more and sometimes less, but you have to look at it as an ongoing business relationship. It's not a one-shot deal, you know, and maybe with your car buying, that's a whole different ballgame. But if you're looking to talk about a business relationship, both of you have objectives. You both have businesses that you're running, so it's not as if winner take all. That's not the mentality. And then asking for what you want. You want to make sure that you are upfront with, you know, what you're looking for, cover all the topics of you know, what you are wanting and what your challenges might be, because we all have bosses that we have to you know, come back to with what the outcome of the negotiation was about. So, you know, you have to understand that, like I said, both have what their goals are going to be, and you need to listen. It's not just I want, this is what I'm looking for. It's really listening to the other person as well and seeing what their needs are.
Right.
So I think that's really important. And then sometimes you have to just be willing to walk away. Sometimes you're just not going to be able to come up with that a point where you're just going to both agree. You know, sometimes you just can't pay the amount they're asking, and that might be they just can't go lower and aren't able to help you out. And that's okay. You know, going forward, you know that you can reach out to them in the future, and maybe it's just not the right time. So I think that's always important to know. And then realizing it's not personal. You know, it's a business transaction, and sometimes it's just not going to happen, and don't take the transaction personally. You know, sometimes you're just not going to have the success you're looking for. So those were my points that I brought up, but those are just a few. Of course, I had a limited amount. You know, that's why we have a whole hour to talk about things, because it was just a limited space. But so we'll flip it back to you, Shannon, and your paradise there.
So one of the things, it was so fun digging up, I used to teach a course called Becoming a Master Negotiator, How to Harness the Power of Highly Joint Ventures. And having personally negotiated and facilitated millions of dollars in partnerships and agreements, I found that there's some key things that I hope everybody can take from this today. And one is that realize that you don't have to beg or plead others to purchase your product or services. You never really have to pay full price for anything, including cars, hotels, and business deals. A lot of people think that whatever the price is absolutely what you have to pay. And there's always, you know, different things that you can negotiate. You can, you know, hopefully today you can also realize that you can end the cycle of feeling alone in your business for good. You know, really when you are negotiating in joint ventures and collaborating, what it does is it takes a solopreneur, entrepreneur, and brings them into a community. And that's really what Nancy does at the Chamber. I know that that's at the core of Travis, and the three of us that are here today is building something together. Also, you can learn how to, with these strategies, grow your shrinking database overnight like magic. When you negotiate and you partner with people, there's really ways to grow your list and grow your reach. Also make others feel great about negotiating with you. I know that that's one of the key things, is just having others feel good. You know, when we say win, 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 to me that means win for both parties, win for the community, and win for everybody that it touches. And that's really what we want to look for when we're negotiating, and also being able to apply this knowledge to all personal and business relationships. This I found, you know, can work with children, can work with spouses. You know, we are always negotiating different terms. Wouldn't you agree, Nancy and Travis, that we're walking negotiators?
Absolutely, 24/7. You really can't go through life without negotiating. Oh.
Yeah, it's absolutely important you're negotiating, because it's hard, because you're presenting that your value, that you have value, and what your services has value, but also acknowledging where they're coming from, and being able to lift them up and help everyone get to that higher point. So yeah, you negotiate in every aspect of your life and communicate to help get the best deal for everyone.
And Shannon, you were right about the Chamber. I think one of the things, I was actually just talking to somebody this morning who came in and wanted to join. I said, I think one of the things that the Chamber does very well is help create strategic partnerships for others. We are putting together situations where they can network with others, where when they let us know, look at, you know, in a leads group, I'm looking to meet so-and-so, or do you have a connection? We make those connections happen. That's, you know, people that use us the most, we're the ones that can say, oh, I know so-and-so, have you thought of that, you know, reaching out to them. I think for us, we want them to find value in their membership. And when you say you don't need to be alone, that's very true. And a lot of times when you're a solo entrepreneur, you think that there is no one that understands or they can't help you. And that's not the case. And we are, I think, here as a chamber to make sure that you do get exposure to the resources you're looking for.
Right.
So the fact that you do this, Shannon, for us, I mean, this is a huge partnership that we formed. You said, you know, I think webinars would be great. I agree. And you have run them and, you know, really showed us how to do these. And so I look at this as a very successful partnership. And so we're thrilled. And I think that's what being in business is all about, is building these strategic partnerships and negotiating, you know, what each partner is looking to get out of it. Because I know you're really humble and you never talk about, you know, very seldom your summits that you have, and they're phenomenal. So we try and do a shout out for you, because I think that's important. And I just want to say Jessica Moore with 142 Productions joined our webinar. So I want to do a shout out to her. She's on our live stream. She just did a training yesterday at our leads group on, live streaming on Facebook. So thank you, Jessica.
She's one of my favorite people.
Oh, she's she's terrific. So back to you, Shannon.
Awesome. And again, anybody that's watching us, please feel free to put your business name in the chat room if you want to work on, you know, let us know your elevator pitch. This is our time, like Nancy just did, to do a shout out for you. These chamber chats are designed to support the members, help you grow not only professionally but also clients. So a couple more things just with this type, you know, becoming a master negotiator, is know how to create a feel-good win-win negotiation in any situation, which Nancy's been talking about and obviously mentions in your article, and have that step-by-step plan to move forward from limited results to limited opportunities. That's really the key here. Is, you know, many times we feel like we have limited results or limited resources, but really when you learn these skills, both combined with negotiation and joint venture, you do have limitless opportunities. And then have the skill to tap into a whole entire market of joint venture gold mines, because they are everywhere. I know, Travis, I've sat down with you in the past, and you have been a huge component in the community in Brevard of really looking at partnering and collaborating and helping each other. So thank you for what you do locally. So I'm going to just share some of the strategies that I have. And Nancy, please interject, because your article, you just bulleted those out really quickly, and some of these may be the same, some may be different. But the first thing that I look at, and this is kind of at the base of everything that I do, is being able to articulate who you are and what you're doing, having that clear vision to explain kind of what it is that you're up to in a quick, clear, concise way. I know that when I'm looking at partnering with somebody, if I have to hear if they can't articulate clearly who they are, what they're doing, and what they need next, it leaves an impression of not maybe having a clear business plan, business model, business direction. So again, everything that, and this is a great opportunity with the Chamber Chat to be able to practice that. It's like that shows me that they are in a position in their business so that I can understand and I can truly articulate for them. Because if they can convey to me and we're going to do a partnership, then I can convey who they are to other people. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think actually being succinct would be the elevator pitch. And every single Chamber Chat we do, we usually have somebody on here and try and perfect their elevator pitch. Because if you can't say your business in 30 seconds to a minute, it often indicates you don't have a clear vision in your head, what it is.
Right.
How we've had a number of people, and I think we all know them, and I've had a number where I think, I've seen you 5 or 6 times and I still don't know what your business is. That should never happen. It shouldn't, after 5 or 6 times, if you don't know what somebody's business is after they've given their pitch, that's not a very good elevator pitch. And I think being able to succinctly say your elevator pitch means that you know what your business is about. You've concentrated it down to the key points, and you're able to succinctly say that. And then people can buy into that. And being consistent, because there's some people too that tend to change. They try it one way one time, one way another one, and then you're thinking, okay, what is their business all about? And I think we all know that when somebody doesn't seem to be consistent, you think of them as not, I don't want to say not as professional, but you do question their business and what they're trying, have they not found their niche yet? So I know that that's me. I tend to do that if I hear a different slant every time, or okay, today I'm doing, my car wash, and tomorrow I'm doing my juiceroo, and tomorrow I'm doing, what I mean? Like some of the multi-level marketings, I have to say, they get involved with a lot of different ones. So one time they're representing, color, and another time it's weight loss, and another time it's power strips. And I understand, because they're trying to find what works best for them. But also, if they continue to keep changing businesses like that, then they're not clear, and then you think, okay, how long are they going to be at that, and what's going to be their next business?
Well, I think the core of that, and the core of why a chamber is such a great avenue, is when someone shares that elevator pitch and they say who they are and what they're all about, if you are looking to partner with them, you look for that hole, right? When they say what they're all about, you look for that hole to go, hey. So, for instance, let's use Jessica, because she's on the chat.
Yes.
When I say everything that I do for web design, she's like, well, Travis, it doesn't seem like you do video. You didn't mention that.
Right.
She now has an in to talk to me, to communicate. That's a gap that I don't have in my business that allows her to partner. And that's how we build partnerships. And that can be usable in the chamber or anywhere, really.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, it's looking at what the other people do in their business and how you might be able to make that connection and partner with them.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's great, Travis. Okay, we're flipping back to you, Shannon.
Hey, Cynthia Dale just joined us. I love her.
Cynthia. Oh, how are you? We haven't seen you in a while, Cynthia. Hi. We'll give you a wave from the small screen.
Oh, hold on. We'll get the big screen wave. Hold on.
Oh, no, we have to do the two.
We'll get it. We'll get it. Okay,
Hi, Cynthia. Okay, back to Shannon.
Shannon can do it now if she wants to.
She's our pal. We had to give her the hi there.
Oh, good. So I love this quote. In business, you you don't get what you deserve, you get what you negotiate, by Chester Harris. And so I always like to set the stage and the foundation of negotiations. There's this concept that negotiations means greedy. And so it's easy to, many times, I know when I was first learning about negotiating, I was scared to do it. And I had challenges around a number of different things, but I had this concept of greedy. And so there's different ways of looking at negotiations. So, you know, for example, some people, if you look up the word negotiations, a dialogue intended to resolve dispute, to produce an agreement that's a course of action, to bargain for individuals or collective advantage, or to craft outcomes to satisfy various interests. So this is, you know, this is one way of negotiating. But when you look at win-win-win negotiations, I love the concept of win-win philosophies assure that all parties benefit from the negotiation process, which produces a more successful outcome. So just kind of setting that foundation and really checking in and looking at, like, what are your beliefs around negotiation? I know when I did this boot camp, Nancy, we spent the whole first part of the day going through strategies, working on strategies, language, even negotiating together. And many people, then at lunch, I sent them out to negotiate. And there was a lot of personal things that come up when we ask people, what are your beliefs around negotiations? And so just setting that foundation of, like, this is, you know, I want a more successful outcome, and so therefore I'm bringing a win-win negotiation process. Does that make sense?
Right.
Yeah, totally.
And I find that I can negotiate better when it's for business than I do for myself personally.
Yeah.
So when I've gone to other countries and that's what they do is negotiate, I am horrible at it. I have to have somebody with me. I'm like, sure, $5, that's okay. You know, you could have got that for 50 cents. Well, you know, for me it seemed like an okay deal, but yeah, I'm just, I don't know, when it's for me, I was never good at it. But, you know, when the companies I've worked for, I can go, no, we need to have that. We can't afford that. You know, this is what I need. And I'm more concerned about the outcome than I am when it's me. And that's silly because, you know, I've probably overspent, well, I'm not going to say, but, you know, thousands of dollars. But that's a hang up I have. Yeah. You know, that I can do it for my business or a business that I work for and not myself personally.
Well, one of the things that Shannon said that I really liked is that she pointed out to make sure everything's clear how important negotiation is. That every mistake I've ever made in my business is somebody had an unclear expectation, right? One way or the other. So if you negotiate and make sure, even having that negotiated, even if the price doesn't change, the negotiation allows you to have that conversation, make sure things are clearer. The more communication that happens, the more clear and concise you are. So that was great that you said that. It's right on the money, Sean.
Absolutely. And the second thing is seizing the opportunity, really looking at, you know, that I think the problem that people have is it's missed opportunities, realizing that there are endless opportunities to negotiate. So I always ask that question, where can you negotiate? And so, you know, people will say, oh, I can restaurants or pricing for my business, like you said, Nancy. But the answer is you can negotiate everywhere. Everywhere you can negotiate and create win-win. And then the next question is, when is it appropriate? Do you guys know the answer to that?
When is it appropriate?
To negotiate?
Yes.
Well, I was just telling them Louis Vuitton doesn't like negotiations, but I'm sure, I don't think Tiffany does either, but I'm sure most other places are all for it.
I've tried negotiating with girlfriends to make a decision for dinner, and that's never worked.
Maybe Shannon has some tips for you. This one was meant for you. That's why we need him out here. He needs to know this.
I need to know. Tell me. Help me.
Help him, Shannon.
Well,
I need to know.
It's funny. So when it's appropriate is always, and the key is language. You know, really taking time, as you said, Nancy, to listen, finding out where people are at. I'm in a minute, I'll share with you a process on how I do that, but really it is appropriate always. And when is it not appropriate? Never. You know, and I have to share with you, Nancy, it's so great that we're talking about this because, as you know, I got married almost 5 years ago, and my husband actually negotiates way more than I do. And so I've had to really look at, I mean, he goes everywhere and negotiates, and there's times where I can see people taking it personal. Sometimes I take it personal. I'm like, wait a minute, you shouldn't negotiate that. But it's for him, he's not attached, and he just assumes that everybody else is not attached. So I really like that. He's like, I don't want people to feel devalued. I'm just asking, you know, they can say no. We all have the ability to say, no, that doesn't really work for me. What can we do? You know, and it is all about that language.
Yeah.
And so the third thing is ancient text, and it's not taught in school. It's a missing essential strategy, and it is key. And it's a principle from one of the most famous books in the world, the Bible. Ask and you shall receive. The biggest thing is being able to ask. That's all it is asking. Do you find that that's, you know, an area where you guys are easy to ask? Tell me a little bit about your thoughts around asking.
I sometimes think that it's more difficult for women in negotiations.
Oh,
Yes. No, I don't mean necessarily personal relationships, but more in business relationships. And I think facts have kind of proved this in that they don't negotiate well when they get hired, and so they tend to make less over their entire lifetime because they've negotiated a smaller starting salary. And if you continue to have increases on that smaller starting salary, you will always be making less than a man. And those numbers have played out for years, and it still continues to. And it's being assertive, you know, and asking for what you want. And you're right, Shannon, if you don't take it personally, if it's just, it doesn't hurt to ask. It's that old adage, it doesn't hurt to ask. All they can say is no. And as long as you don't then take it personally, well, they said no, so, and then go off on a negative tangent, then it doesn't hurt to ask. And sometimes you're surprised. You know what's really funny is we were at the flea market, so Renninger's flea market, and don't ask me why, but there was a necklace I saw, and it was, I don't know, $24. And the person I was, why don't you ask for, they'll give it to you for $20. I couldn't. I said, no, I can't. Why don't you do it? They got it for $20. You know, and I never would have thought to ask. And so, like Ari said, your husband, it doesn't hurt to ask. In a lot of situations, you just don't even think about it, because I don't think we're quite the culture. You know, we see a sticker price and we tend to, you know, you're in Macy's or whatever, you think that's what you have to pay. And we're that culture, whereas in so many other countries, they would never, ever pay what's on, ever, for anything.
Right.
You know, Egypt, India, China, everything's negotiable. And we kind of don't seem to have that culture as much. And it doesn't mean that, or maybe it's just the way I was brought up, and I just kind of think, oh, well, that's what the price says, so that's what I'm paying. But I'm glad you're saying that, Shannon, that, you know, it doesn't hurt to ask, and why wouldn't you try?
Well, I think in our country, one of the things that we do that's slightly different than other people is we have when we buy something, we're very proud of spending more.
Oh, are we?
Where in a lot of countries they view the other way.
Yeah.
So I do something similar to what Ari does, but I do it a little differently. I do what's called Kylo. Have you ever heard of Kylo?
No.
Okay, Kylo is a book. It's called Keep Your Love On.
Oh.
So it's when you communicate with somebody and when you're building a relationship and negotiating, it's making sure you keep your love on to what they're trying to do and what they're trying to achieve.
Okay.
So as long as your goal through the whole thing is trying, overseas is normal to haggle. I like that, John. It's the goal is when we sit down and negotiate or have a conversation, as long as we're keeping our love on together, and love being a vague term, not
yes.
keeping our love on, that we're both going to come out okay. So that means when you're talking, it doesn't matter whether or not I agree with you sometimes or that I think Bess is right. It's how do I love you the way you want to be loved in this conversation.
So that respect.
So that allows negotiation to flow, because you're both coming from a point of, hey, I love and respect you. So I respect this necklace. It's $25. However, my budget is $20.
Right.
How can we do that without dishonoring you to allow that to go up? So.
That's a good one. Back to you, Shannon.
Awesome. Yes. And that's one of the other key strategies. I'm hoping to share some different language that I've used over the years too. Strategies is using their name when communicating. Dale Carnegie talked about how powerful that is with, making it personal. So getting personal, building that rapport is one of the key things. Another thing is don't go first, and why that's not a good idea. You may offer too much. Nervous, we start blurting out numbers. Exceptions when,
Uh-oh.
We lost you there, Shannon.
Oh, am I losing you?
We lost you at never go first.
Yeah, what we heard was never go first, and I went, uh-oh, and then that was the end of it. Are you there?
Oh, yes. Oh, can you hear me now?
Yep.
Yes, so if you don't mind repeating from don't go first. You may give away too much. I think that's where we ended.
Okay.
Okay.
So I said one of the exceptions.
Oh, we've lost you again.
If you've done is to back it up.
Sorry, Shannon, we lost you again on that. You froze there for a second. The pina coladas are kicking in. Oh.
Okay, again?
Yeah, no, we lost you again. Okay, you're back. Okay. So one more time from don't go first.
I said except for when you've done a lot of homework and you have extreme rationale to back it up, and that would be, a good opportunity. Also, the key to negotiations is communicating. I use this concept called form. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Form where you find out about their family, you find out about their occupation, what do they do for fun, recreation, and M being their motivation. Always looking at those four things, family, occupation, recreation, leads to motivation, helps with negotiating, because obviously when you want a win-win negotiation, you want to create something that supports them too.
How do you find that out quickly, Shannon? If you only have a limited period of time, how do you get all four of those questions answered? Because that is, very true. And one of the things we talked about was true colors, knowing people's negotiation, how they relate. And I think that's part of what form is. It's knowing if they're a blue, they want to talk about their friends and family. If they're gold, they just want the numbers. If they're the greens, they're going to want a whole lot of numbers before they make a decision. If they're orange, it better be a fun negotiation. So what you're saying, I think, is fabulous. But how do you do that in a short period of time? If you have a short window to negotiate, let's say it's, and I know sometimes you think, okay, if this is a really important one, you don't want to limit the time, but sometimes you do have a short period of time. So how do you find all those answers out quickly, Shannon?
Yeah, and you don't always start with that. I have been in situations where I've had to negotiate quickly. I'm in a store, and obviously I can't go through all those things, but they've told me no. And then I'll say, how long have you lived here? Do you have family in the area? And so then I'll shift, and to me that makes that heart connection. So you're right, there are situations where you don't always have time to do that, and you may start negotiations right off the bat using the word, I love the word, would you consider? That's something that's one that I've used often, but I've had opportunities where they've said no, we can't do that, and then I'll go into finding out something personal, and it kind of makes that heart connection and move into the negotiation. So I usually have one question. Do you have family in the area, or do you have kids? Is a good one, because I can tell you, oh no, I'm single. What do you do for work? Obviously, if they're working somewhere, it could be a question of, do you love working here? Recreation, what do you do for fun? So keeping it that way. I know you're right. You don't always have time. So price doesn't fit my current finances. What I might be able to do is this. So that's another language. So it's just saying, oh, this price doesn't currently fit my finances, or it's not appropriate for my budget. What might we be able to do with this? Is that absolutely the best you can do? That's another question you can ask. And let's see here. Let's talk about your fees. If this works out, we're going to be busy the next few years together, so talking about future business is another thing that you may be able to work with. And
I think that one's a good one too, because it shows that you're looking at a long-term relationship, not just a one-time deal.
Yeah.
You know, if you're looking at really building your relationship with this business, then saying something like that is really appropriate.
Yeah.
We're looking to be a long-term customer and really working
Right.
with you.
I would be blown away if someone said that. I really
Really?
would. Yeah, I would.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I think so too. That's great.
So I have, and anybody else, if you have any questions, if you're in the chat room, I know that Jessica joined us. Jessica, do you want to say hi and do a quick shout out?
Yeah, we could put her on camera if she hears.
Yeah, we also have West End Harvey Bobbitt joined. She's on.
Jessica can't talk right now.
Oh, okay, that's all right.
And
She did a very good training yesterday on doing Facebook Live. So she's. This is very appropriate. So too bad she can't. Oh, she's on hold with text.
Okay, perfect.
Welcome to our work. Jessica.
That's why I'm here.
Yeah, well, this is our tech support right here. Shannon knew. She goes, "Oh, are you going to be all right?" I go, "Yeah, let me call backup." So thank you, Travis. Oh.
So I just wanted some of the reasons and rationales in business to be able that I found to negotiate or use. One is if it's not perfect. If you can find a defect, that's an easy way to go up and just say, hey, I see this little snag, thing that you can live with, then that's a great place to negotiate if something's not perfect. Number two is cashing. Anytime you can flash cash or pay cash. I have a friend that got a $40,000 car, I think for about $17,000 when he had cash. And so anytime you can pay cash, yes. The people needed the money.
Tell us later, Shannon.
Well, there's actually there's a local store here, they sell board games and stuff. It's called Get Your Fun On, and he has a separate price on all of his products for cash.
Really?
Yeah, if you pay him in cash, it's a separate price because he's not having to deal with any of the fees. He just gives that to the customer, which is really, really cool.
That is nice.
Yeah.
Is that in Cocoa?
It's out right in Melbourne, actually, right on Minton. Yeah.
All right.
They should be a chamber member.
They should be a chamber member. We just
gave a shout out. Get your phone on. We're going to tag you in this post. You need to do it. Mark.
Sherry's going to call.
Right.
Number three is or group discount. Same time. You may be bringing a group in one time, but even bringing a group in over a year's time period, that's a way to be able to negotiate some sort of discount. Also, if it's the last one on the shelf, I've seen that work. Promise of future business, which we also taught out. The question, does this ever go on sale? Is there a future sale coming up that I may not know about? If they say no, I've had people say, would you like to make a sale right now? Kind of with a smile and a grin. Use the power of written word, policy statements, so there may be certain things in ask for everything. This is such a great deal with negotiating for hotels, working agreement. For example, with hotels, I know when I'm doing an event, I'll go in and I'll say, okay, we need a stage, we need mics, we need, ask for the farm. And then what they do is they negotiate their best prices for you, and then you can actually look at, okay, what do I actually need? It seems like when you ask for bulk on what it is that you need, then they can pull, then you start off from the beginning and get a best rate. Now, you've negotiated a bunch of times with hotels. Did you have anything to add with that, Nancy, or is that a strategy that you've used where you ask for everything?
Actually, yes and no. I find, for me, I'm all about relationships.
Yeah.
So I found that when you have a good relationship, they tend to be a lot more accommodating and treating people nicely. I'll give a shout out to the Crown. I kept going back to the Crown Plaza for my events because I knew Miguel, I knew Pedro, Lauren. They were all so fabulous to work with, and you knew that you could always rely on them. If we, let's say at the last minute, forgot to ask for a cordless mic, they could bring it out. If you needed things taped down, if we needed our machine, which we forgot was old school, and we needed a telephone line, they were able to come up with that. And I think negotiation is two things. You can ask for everything, or you by continuing to use people, and like that's what we were talking about, the long-term relationship, they are a lot more accommodating. You know, I think the fact that you've done a number of events at the Crown Plaza, you know, they know that you're coming back, you're bringing more business, people are staying longer. They're a lot more accommodating to give you a break than somebody who they don't know at all. They don't know if you're ever going to come back. This is a one-shot deal. And so I truly like, I mean, I really do like, and I've never used that before. If this works well, this could be an ongoing business relationship. I've never used that before, Shannon, and I haven't used where I ask for everything because I think we discussed that I'm not the best negotiator, so, you know.
Well, and I think that one of the things that when you build it from a personal perspective, like building a relationship with someone, it doesn't matter what business you're at now or what you're trying to negotiate today.
Right.
For instance, at Crown Plaza, you may have been negotiating that day for, you know, an event. Tomorrow you may be negotiating for your family to have lunch. You know, there's all sorts of different things that can happen by building that relationship. It doesn't matter what the subject matter is because it's based on relationship. It's just, hey, you're a friend, I'm a friend, let's help each other out.
Right, right.
Yeah, and that strategy is commonly used in real estate, like asking the seller to pay for closing costs and ask, you know, it's where you kind of go in the middle. And when I first worked with the Crown Plaza, I had ideas of doing future business with them, but I didn't know for sure. And I did use that strategy of, okay, we need that. And that is my ideal. If this event, you know, my very first event was everything I ever wanted and money was an issue, what would I get? And so I did ask for that. And because I have to give them a huge shout out, but from the beginning I was able to get a really great rate, and they've been able to keep me there for now almost 2 years. They absolutely go above and beyond and work with you in so many different ways, of event concept design to expansion. That's one of the things of and when I work with people that are doing events too, and I know you do events, so Nancy, hopefully you don't mind me sharing some of this. But when I'm working with a client and they want to go sponsor an event or they want to be an exhibitor at an event, is what they talk to the producer and say, you know, what other sponsorship opportunities can I do, or what other really engaging in as much as possible for that event to grow their business. So that's another place where I've suggested the ask for everything. You know, this is, can I have, you know, a ad in your newspaper, your program guide? Can I have put something on the table? Really asking for all of those things, because many times they'll say yeah.
Yeah,
you're right. Yeah.
One of the let me ask you a question. One of the strategies that I encourage my clients to do is to use me sometimes to help with negotiation. So, for instance, if someone wants to do advertising, me as a web designer coming in and asking to do advertising is a lot more valuable than this little shop that they have, let's say this tchotchke shop, because I have more clients, I have more other businesses that may want to do advertising. What do you think about that and using leverage of your other partners to help you?
Absolutely. Another huge strategy that's really key. I think whenever we can come in with a team, people love seeing that there's other people on the team, a bigger footprint, especially if it's, you know, creating a collaboration or anything to do with marketing or acquiring something. So yes, thank you for bringing that up. That's a key.
Yeah.
Also, negotiations is not always price. It's also terms can be key to the transaction. You know, looking at time frames, who's involved, what items are going to be completed. So we can't get totally fixated on price, because sometimes you want to pay the price. There's other things that are important for you in the transaction, and even many times more important when negotiating. I know for me, there's certain aspects of the business interaction that's important to me. So I will kind of start there and looking at, you know, are they a good match with how I want to conduct business together?
I think Travis was speaking to that too when he said about website design. Not everything for him is about price. I mean, you could add something like web hosting, which might not be that expensive, so it's easy to put that in. But they may want you to do part of their posting and every single day, and so that's going to take a lot more of your time and talent. So that would cost a whole lot more. So it's, like you say, Shannon, it's not always getting the price, but you know, other things out of the deal that they, you know, might be
And
looking
it's
for.
expectations, right? What do
Yes.
they want out of that? You know,
Right.
are you so for instance, someone may, let's say I'm doing a business with the chamber, and you're like, I want you to post every day.
Right.
Okay, what do you want me to post every day? Well, I just want you to post what's on our calendar. Okay, so I'm not actually custom doing anything.
Right. You're
Okay,
just
that's a lot easier than I'm coming up with posts. I'm coming up with
the
new ideas. I'm
content,
thinking.
Yeah.
So there's a variables about that, and that negotiation conversation can really help make something turn from a no to a yes. Really, really easy.
That's true, yeah. And sometimes putting in just a few other little, you know,
Yeah.
we always like lagniappes, that little freebie. So
Right,
you can
right.
throw something else in. It's like sometimes some little thing seals the deal.
The
so.
non-rolling windows, right?
I do not want those. Oh, my sister does.
And it's interesting in negotiations. I know when I'm doing things, I am always creating those win-wins. Anybody that's done business with me and works know that you can come to me and ask me anything, and I will barter. I mean, I do so many different ways. But one of the things that I always suggest to businesses is hold your price so that you always value on what it is that you do. And if you negotiate, remind them, like, this is the price, and maybe you take something away that you're offering in that. And so, for example, Nancy, I'm just going to use you. You have a lot of things that are sponsored. And I don't know if it's okay I'm using you can tell me to stop. But let's say somebody's sponsoring and you offer them tickets, but they don't need all of those tickets. You know, that may be something where you can say, okay, well, we'll go ahead and remove these tickets. They're valued at $50 a piece. But you're still holding that price, because I think that it's key. There's so many businesses that I see where they have lessened the value of what they're doing because they're always negotiating. And I just think that you know, holding that price, reminding people, oh, this is great, I love doing this, and I just want to remind you, here's my normal price, that they can see that you have created something win-win. Does that make sense?
Yeah, because if you continue to do cutting the price, then people will never expect to pay full price. So you set yourself up for, you know, future lost income. Because if people see you, oh, well, we know there'll always be a deal, or 2 days before they're always going to drop the price, you know, depending on what it is, then yeah, then you lose your credibility to say, yeah, this is my price. You know, we used to have a joke when JCPenney's policy was every single week they had blockbuster special, and it was always in the morning and the best price ever, and you know, on sale. Well, it's always on sale. You know, like, that's the reputation they got. Well, then they went total 180 to nothing was on sale. They had everyday low prices, and that was a huge. That hurt their business model because everybody had that expectation. They'd have coupons, it would be on sale. And so to then try and retrain their customers that, okay, it's not going to be on sale, but it's going to be the price you would have paid with your coupon. We're just charging you that from the get-go. Yeah, people didn't like that because they had trained them that there's going to be a sale and that there's going to be coupons available. So yeah, I agree with you. If you're a business person and you discount your services or your prices, that expectation gets out there, and it does over time hurt your business.
Well, and people talk, right?
Right, absolutely.
So if I sell something to you at a certain price, somebody else go, I bought a website from him for less than that. Or, oh,
yes.
Well, why did it? And then I have to explain why I did this and that, instead of having a set standard price where someone who they're paying more understands what they got for more, you know. Right.
Yeah. No, that's a great one, Shannon.
Yeah, I find that's a key thing, because we want everybody at the table. At the end of the day, we want everybody to grow their business and hold that value. There's so many people that I work with, and I meet them, and I've been guilty of it myself. Of value. But when we have, I've also found that there's a lot of things that at least I have that don't cost me on. An add-on is another way of negotiating. I know, Travis, you might have things that you can add on. I know that we all have things that we can, I have digital book, or you know, Nancy, you may have a ticket to an event, or there's different things that we can easily add on in negotiations to also add value. So that's another thing to look at. So the last thing, and then I just want to talk quickly about the agreement, but the last thing is getting into action, going out there and actually doing this. The problem with this is a lot of people have fear of rejection. And so it's just, you know, the first thing is just treat this like a game. Make it fun. Do not take it personally. Get out there and ask, because it is something that's, I remember when I really got into a phase of going into Home Depot and asking for an and go, oh my gosh, I just got $100 off an AC one time, and going to the Foot Locker and buying a pair of shoes, and they didn't discount the price, but they gave me shoes the next time I came back, and it was like all of those things, when I looked at it as a game, it became fun, and the other person, again, with win-win, felt good. You know, it was like really creating that's fun. So just getting into action and looking at where can I do this today. So the very last thing, anything you guys want to add on that? Because I know we're getting towards the end of time.
No, I switched the camera, so she's laughing because she saw herself, because I thought, don't worry about it, it's fine. Everything's fine here, how are you?
He was feeling left out, so we flip around so we could do the wave and go, yep, we're still here.
I wanted to look pretty.
You do look pretty. You do look
very impressed.
I clean up well, tell your friend.
So the other process, see, I'm working on having Stuart Levine come into October and actually work on teaching this, but creating that agreement for results. And I found this is another product I use when negotiations. Once I went through all of these, you know, asking, looking at what are add-ons, what we're going to do, what are the terms, then I start going into agreement. And Stuart Levine has a 9-step process that I think is beautiful, and that is, to me, kind of the grand finale of, is it I want to work with or not? And the first thing is looking at that intention and vision, creating that shared intention and vision, looking at the roles. What are the roles that each of us are going to play? What are roles that we're going to play? What is that each person's going to bring to the table? Time and value, because remember, again, it's not just about money and bottom line. We have to also identify other values that are based. You know, are they helping build your list? Is there branding recognition? What are other values that are there? Measurements of satisfaction. How do we know we're on track? Fears and concerns. To talk about what are concerns you have. Renegotiations, because things change and evolve, and you may need to look at how do we manage that.
Right.
If we don't reach our vision and our consequences, if there's broken promises, those are good things to talk about up front, because things happen. You know, it's like if I'm not, one of my things is I'm going to try to clean it up as quickly as I can and make it right. You know, that just talking about that up front is key. And then conflict resolution. If we have conflict, process on how we're going to resolve this. And the first thing is not staying focused on what went wrong, but getting back to that intention and vision that we first had, so that we can keep moving forward. So this process, and I'm so excited, Nancy, he's going to share and go in a little bit deeper, but this process has been really key to find out, is this a sustainable we move forward. So those are kind of my key things.
Okay, Shannon, tell us a bit about the summit for September.
Okay. The summit is going to be on the 16th and 17th, and we bring in very high-level experts, industry experts. We even have attorneys, marketing experts. We have a media marketing panel. We do a pitch tank, kind of like Shark Tank, but it's a lot nicer. It's more for entertainment and people how to pitch, and the language to use to be magnetic. We do mastermind meals where you can come together and mastermind with experts and get support on your business. Also, all of our mentors one-on-one strategy sessions, so that you can sit down and imagine sitting with an attorney for 20-30 minutes and working on contracts, or a marketing expert, or looking at what do you want to do to sell your business or take it IPO. And we do a mastermind game. There's all kinds of things that we do throughout this day. Nancy, is this time we're doing our visionary and awards celebration. So on August 1st, we're going to be reaching out to the community, ask for nominees for Heart of the Community, Volunteer of the Year, Innovative Business Award. And so this is something that I've done in the past. I had 6 years of doing, Visionary and Award celebration, so I'm bringing that back through the summit to really recognize leaders in our community. So it's September 16th and 17th, business.com. And thank you, Chamber of Commerce, for partnering with us, because we have a shared vision and intention of empowering businesses.
And say your website one more time. You cut out when you were saying your website.
We have a shared vision. And businessaccelerationsummit.com. Acceleration Summit. I'll put it in the chat room too.
Perfect. And Tony Castile joined us. Make It Personal Marketing. So I think we lost him though, but he was on. So yeah, with our events coming up, we are really looking to provide value for our members,
right.
And I think we have. We went from a calendar with a luncheon to, they tell me to stop filling in everything. Blank space does not mean I have to have an event. So I think if you have not been part of the Palm Bay Chamber, or you were in the past,
right.
It's definitely a whole new Chamber of Commerce. We have a great staff here. We have great strategic partnerships. I think Shannon is an absolute fabulous example of one of the great partners that we are working with.
Right.
And she is just such a dynamic person. And we are doing that with a number of people. We have Sherry and Richard Martin from WCN Interactive. They do a lot of trainings. Tracy Stoddard from Everything Brevard is going to start doing a training in September. We have Bonnie Basil McKee, who is doing ribbon cutting trainings. Okay. So I think one of the things we realize is that we are a smaller chamber, but we have a lot of great members, and we're using our members to be able to provide trainings that are interesting and of value, and so that's what I'm just inviting everyone to come check us out. And Shannon, thank you again for a fabulous webinar. Do you have any final, I think we have 2 more minutes, do you have any final words?
Just, Nancy, I'm so appreciative of your visionary, who you are in the community, and really the heart that you bring to us. And this is just a prime example of how open you are to building not only a community in the business community, but giving individuals the tools to grow. So hopefully learning about negotiations will get everybody moving, and ask. Just remember to ask. That's where it all begins, because there's always, people times will just say yes, or let's explore that. That's another thing, is I love saying, can we explore? So thank you for letting me do this with you. I'm so grateful.
Oh, you're very welcome. And I had one more news. I don't think I mentioned this.
I'm excited.
Are you?
Yeah, I'm super stoked. What is it?
And I'm not trying to exclude you, but Businesswomen in Brevard.
I'm a businesswoman in Brevard.
Are you? So our Businesswomen of Brevard group is brand new,
okay.
And we're meeting August the 30th. For the very first time, it's going to be at Riverview Senior Resort
right.
Living. It's a breakfast, so it's going from 8 to 9:30. I think it will be a model for us to be able to roll out to the entire chamber, because we're looking at, there's a lot of women's groups, but I wanted to kind of encompass a number of different things that I enjoy, and one is having mentors, and I think it's important to, as women, reach out to each other to really support each other. So that's one of the things we're looking at, having a speaker, being able to do your elevator pitch. Right. So once again, they need to get on this webinar so Shannon can perfect them.
Right.
And she's so good at it. And it also gives a great opportunity to network. So it's in its infancy stage,
right.
But it's our very first meeting, includes breakfast. You can go on our website. It's $10 to come for a buffet breakfast. And the beautiful view.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a great, we are blessed in Brevard County to have such powerful women like yourself, and like Malak and Carol Craig and Shannon and Jessica and Cynthia Dale, all these powerful women. Even Geraldine, like I can go on and on about all these powerful women for in Brevard County. We are really, really blessed to have women dominant. I would even honestly say that women dominate the business in Brevard County. Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. You don't think so?
I think they do for entrepreneurs.
Okay.
I think in the larger corporations you would find a much smaller percentage of
Sure, but they frighten me because they're big. No, I'm kidding.
All right. Well, on that note, I think
Girl
we're
power.
girl power. Off we go. On that note, we will say adieu. Thank you all for coming to our chamber chat and Google Hangout, and thank you, Shannon, for on your vacation stepping in and coming on this webinar and guiding it as you always do with your wisdom. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Bye, all.
All right. Bye.